Welcome to InTouch, dedicated to real estate professionals worldwide. We're here to educate you, entertain you, and empower you in all facets of real estate. Are you ready for the latest news, trends, and market updates? Then it's time to get in touch. Welcome to the show. Now let's do a quick recap of where we've been and where we're going. Step one was the initial contact. That's when you're reaching out to a customer, a client, establishing the connection. Step two is the follow-up. And that's the crucial piece that I see that separates the professionals from the amateurs. Those who can follow up properly and consistently find the gold at the end of the rainbow. Now, step three, which is what we're going to focus on today, is the appointment. We're going to kick off with an introduction and dive right into Rule 9, which is speak truth. Now, before we get there, I wanted to do a quick recap on step two. As I've said before, the follow-up is so crucial, and so many professionals struggle with this piece of the equation, and they don't see the results in their business. So I want to give you some quick action items to remember before we move forward into step three. Number one, learn and follow the 10-touch follow-up rhythm method. You can learn about that method in Rule 8. So if you need to rewind and go to that podcast, look for Rule 8 for an outline of the method. It's a 10-touch system and it works. Number two, discipline yourself to show up and be 100% focused with no distractions during your prospecting. Time block something on your calendar and set it up at least a couple hours a day. My preference is before noon. Number three, use the calendar feature in your CRM to set up these reminders for your follow-ups. Or if you want to put it on an old school calendar and carry it with you, that is fine too. But the key is you cannot properly follow up without a calendar. Number four, begin reaching out to anyone in your existing relationship contact list, in your database, that you're not able to reach during step one. Remember, step one's the initial contact. So if you cannot reach them, now's the time in step two to follow up with any new relationships that you've generated and go back to your existing relationships. Number five, if you know your contact's preferred method of communication, whether that's text, phone, or email, use this method first when following up. And if you're unsure, try all three methods. And once communication is established, document the preferred method of communication in your CRM so you remember it for future communication with that client. Number six, seek a definitive answer during your follow-up process. You want to get a clear yes, no, or maybe answer to whether the contact is interested in meeting or seeing a presentation of your unique selling proposition. Number seven, if the answer is definitely no, not interested whatsoever, and the contact is not someone you wish to engage in the future, remove the contact from your follow-up list. Number eight, if the answer is maybe or not yet, make detailed notes. A maybe or a not yet contact has interest in what you offer, but at this time, they are not willing to move forward. So set a reminder to follow up within the upcoming weeks or months, depending on the level of interest. And number nine, if the answer is yes, follow up with the contact until you get the appointment, which is step three. Today, I'm joined in the studio by Gary Giffin. Gary, welcome to the show. As we do a recap on step two, any final words of wisdom about the follow-up before we move forward into step three, which is getting the appointment?
Good morning, Andrew. Happy to be here with you today. Yeah, I would say that when you said the answer is maybe, that maybe could be somebody that just isn't sure yet, or maybe that are not pre-qualified, or they are not sure what area that they're interested in, buying a home or an investment. So stay on that maybe. And a lot of times they'll say, well, just give me a call in December. Well, that really means call them in October or sooner. But stay on top of that contact. Make notes in your planner. You can also use your phone and you can set up an alarm that way too. But stay on top of that contact, because if you don't, they will find someone else and somebody else will call them out of the blue. and take that lead away from you.
There's nothing more disappointing than following up with somebody that you've been out of touch with, only to find out they either bought or sold or did some transaction without you. That is one of the worst feelings in our industry. And it comes down to a lack of follow up most of the time. And there's a couple dependencies. I'll give you two of them that you must have that CRM set up to make follow up notes, to tag each contact appropriately and set up follow up reminders. Now, as we've mentioned, and Gary, I know you prefer just carrying a physical calendar, which works the same way. You can utilize that and then store your notes elsewhere when you get back. But the key is you have organization, and that's what we're trying to encourage. You have to be organized here. No human being has the capacity to remember every single thing about somebody months down the road when you're following up. And the second dependency that I share is you must learn, understand, and follow that 10 touch follow-up rhythm method. And that's the method we've used for years and years and years. You could always modify it to your liking, but the point is you have to have a method. It can't be based on feelings. How do I feel this week or how do I feel today? And I'm just going to follow up this way and tomorrow I'm going to follow up that way. There needs to be a very clear method. And some of the best practices that we've introduced, and I want to get your 2 cents on this, Gary, because this is where I feel this is where people struggle the most. It's the prospecting is nothing that's exciting day after day after day. It's the mundane. But I like to give people 3 suggestions for your prospecting. Number 1, build a daily reward for yourself when you complete your prospecting. So that might be coffee, having lunch, a sweet, just some reward as a job well done. You did what you know you were supposed to do. Number 2, remind yourself that follow-up is simply trying to help others with their needs. You're not bothering anybody. And then number 3 is dictate positive affirmations to boost your confidence and help ease the feelings of rejection. So anything you want to add to that as far as dependencies or best practices so that they can execute the follow-up properly and carry out step 2?
Yeah, the daily reward, that's a good one, Andrew. I like to reward myself after a closing, but doing a daily reward is pretty easy, especially if you like ice cream and you want to get fat. Well, there you go. Get a scoop of ice cream after you finish your follow-up for the hour or 2 hours that you set up. Or sometimes I'll throw a fishing pole in the back of my car. I'll fish before appointments or after, and that's my reward. So something simple, something that you like to do, and it's just puts you in a positive attitude, and you feel great, and you want to do it again.
Precisely, because that is the key, the consistency. You have to develop a schedule that is achievable and can be replicated again and again and again. If it's a schedule that's too extreme and you're spending hours and hours and hours, you're probably not going to be able to replicate that the next day, and certainly not 5 days a week.